Good evening and welcome to another edition of a Sports Desk. We have a good lineup for you tonight. We have some questions that I want you guys to think about before we get into a show tonight. Now, one of my questions is who can be a national athlete? We're talking about national athletes, and one of the questions is who can be a national athlete and what qualifies someone to be a national athlete? And what's the government role in the process of nationalism and athletes competing abroad for the country? So I want you guys to take some time out and ponder on it a little bit. Our phone lines are open. You know, our numbers are on the screen. It's 541-6709. You can call and text us and let us know what your thoughts is. I know if you want to call us and let us know, you can do so. Of course, joining me in the studio is no other than my main man, Paul on the ball. Paul is here with someone he's going to introduce you to, and then we'll get the show rolling.
Hey, good evening, Carl, and good evening, everyone. Great to be here. Got actually a very good friend of mine, an old friend from many years back in the UK. He's from Cardiff, Wales, but he's here today as a football player. He's actually played. Well, I got to say professional football. He's probably going to correct me and say semi-pro. He'll correct me. But it's Gareth Davies, who was, as far as I'm concerned, a professional football player in Wales. Gareth, good evening.
Yeah, good evening. It's great to be here. Really great to be here.
Correct me.
Yeah, I was a professional footballer.
Yeah,
I was late coming to the game, but yeah, I did play professionally.
Absolutely. There you go. Got it right.
And before we go ahead, Garrett's son was here the last time he was on the show, so we just wanted to say, is he still here?
Yeah, he's still here. And
George, your dad is on TV now. Yes. Okay, Paul?
Yeah. Well, are we going to go straight into the questions? Or?
Oh, no, we could talk a little bit. Remember, too, guys, you know, we have horse racing that's coming up on tomorrow. We have the Governor's Cup in St. Thomas, and I know a lot of you guys are getting excited and want to go over to that. I think the race starts around 1 o'clock.
Yeah, it should start around 1
o'clock. Yeah, so hopefully JTV and the crew will be there for that. And we got some information on cricket that's coming up also.
Yeah, we're certainly going to talk a bit in a little while about Chris Gayle, the great Chris Gayle, breaking more records after his 333 a couple of years ago. He's now gone on to 175. We'll talk a bit about that. Well,
like I say right now, our focus is on, like I say, if you guys just take some time out now, we're trying to find out, we're talking about national athletes, and again, who is qualified to be a national athlete, who can be a national athlete, what's the qualifying for a national athlete, and what's a government role in the process, because I find what we have is we have a lot of athletes that is competing national for us, and a lot of them are from other countries or expatriates, and we have kids who are from here that can make the national qualifying team because of status and stuff like that. So I just want your views and opinions on it, and if you guys can give me an idea what you think, and Paul, we probably could ponder on it a little bit and figure out how we can deal with that process, because it is a problem that we're facing right now. We have a lot of good kids and we're losing them to other countries because they can't compete for us.
Sure.
So what is our government roles, and doing that, we'll get your views and ideas.
Well, I guess we can shoot off by just talking to Gareth a bit.
Yes.
We can sort of open up because Gareth, tell us about your professional football career. And, well, let's start with that rather than mixing apples and oranges.
Yeah. Well, it was, I grew up about 2 miles from the ground at Cardiff City, which was incredible for me. And I went training there as a youngster for many, many years. And then, unfortunately, when just before I got to 16, when they chose the apprenticeships, I got focused on other things in life.
Right. Other things, yeah. Let's talk a bit about that.
And I got a bit distracted, and then the day came, and they said, "No, I'm sorry, you know, you're not good enough. We're not gonna take you on." And you know, I was shocked, because that's all I'd ever wanted to do was play football and play for Cardiff City and play in Indian Park and lift the World Cup up for Wales. You know, all those things that a kid thinks about.
Right.
And and I moved away. I went to live in Africa for a while. And then when I came back, I just got focused. I just something changed up here, and I began to get fit again. And I played for a Welsh league side called Sully, which is sort of one one stage off professional.
Right.
And after 4 or 5 years of that, I was 27 years old, and I got the call from the Cardiff City manager, a guy called Frank Burrows, Scots guy, yeah. And he said, "Would I like to come and play for Cardiff City?" I was like, "Yes."
I thought you were going to say, can I think about it?
So how was that though, playing?
It was just a dream come true. You know, you think of it. It'd been in me for 20 odd years to do that, and I made a debut for the club up near Manchester, a place called Stockport at Edgeley Park, and you know, I can remember that I played in the FA Cup in the fifth round of the FA Cup, and it's just a dream for me. But
No, I should let you finish. You said.
I then after 3 games, I snapped my cruciate ligament in my knee.
Oh man.
Wow.
Yeah.
But what I wanted to ask you was, during the time that you played for Cardiff City, what was the difference in the level of play and the attitude of the players compared to where you were before?
That's a good question, Paul. That's a good question. Unfortunately, it wasn't a real good time for Cardiff City at that time. And some of the players were, what I would say, they'd achieved much more success in their earlier years, and they were on the way back down. And they were looking at a bit of an easy ride.
Right.
In that team, just some of them
Some of
at
them,
that time,
right.
yeah. And but the pace of the game, that was the difference for me. You know, it was a big step.
Much faster.
Yeah, much faster.
Much faster.
Yeah.
And so, what is the? You know, I know you have never seen football being played here, but you've seen football at a lower level. So what's the difference to you between playing football at a lower level compared to someone aspiring to play at Premier League level?
Well, these days, I mean, I'm talking, you know, it was
Yeah.
26 years ago.
Right.
So the game's moved on incredibly. The pitches are so much better. The equipment's better, you know, the boots, the balls.
Yes.
I mean, we got goal line technology coming into the UK next in the Premier League next year.
Okay.
Next season. It is just so fast, and the players are so fit. There's no time for having overweight players or people who are just not quite right. You've got to be on your ball every game, you know.
Well, I just wanted to add that I was just doing a study with and one of my books that I had to read was on soccer.
Okay.
Now I know you said you had the opportunity to play in international. Have you had the opportunity to play against guys from like the South America and those places?
Yeah, I did actually. Yeah.
How did they match up to how you guys?
Well, I went over to this was in 1991. I got injured in like '87, and I became a coach for a couple of years,
Okay.
and did my coaching license, and I ended up moving to America, and to play a bit of indoor soccer and to manage an indoor soccer center.
Okay.
In that soccer mecca of North Little Rock, Arkansas. So you make some mistakes in life.
Yeah.
It was an interesting time.
Yeah.
I'm glad I went. But then I got to see there that it was the South American guys who were in North America who were the ones who really knew the game. And there was a big difference between the people who were Americans who were loving the game, but they had no history in it.
Right.
And they hadn't grown up. They'd sort of decided, you know, in college perhaps or when they were in high school that they were going to play. Whereas the Mexicans, South Americans, they just had it in their blood from when they were, and they were so much. They just understood the game a lot better.
Because what I've also read too is the style of plays was different. You know, they had the way they kicked the ball, the way they moved the ball. I mean, it spoke about guys running with the ball, and the ball hasn't even touched the ground because the ball is still on their body, and that's how fast they were moving. You know, so I'm trying to picture, you know, how is that possible? But then when I had the opportunity to look at how they play with the ball, like an extreme sports kind of thing where they dance with the ball and stuff like that, then I began to understand what these guys were talking about, because the game has just changed tremendously.
Yeah, it was quite funny at that time because it was really being learned in America at that time, across all of America. And you know, to see the coaches who were there with their clipboards and their pens, because they would watch coaching sessions by English coaches, and then think, okay, I can do that now, and they would go and copy their notes and talk to their players from the notes. Well, you can't do that. It's from the heart, you know. You know the game.
But soccer is a very big sport right now in America. I mean, every kid and their mom is playing soccer.
Yeah, it is, but it's still way behind American basketball, football.
Of course.
American football, baseball as well.
Let's just remind the folks that you are listening live. This is Sports Desk. The main man, Carl Lubs-Catliff. I'm Paul the Ball, along with Gareth Davies here today, talking basically about his career as a professional footballer. And as Mr. Catliff said, we have lots of other really interesting topics that he's going to reread those in a minute. But just a reminder, you can either call us, or if you don't want to call, send a text. It's 541-6709, 541-6709. We are live and certainly happy to take your calls or your texts. Carl, want to read those questions again?
Yes, folks. Like I said, our questions this evening is on national athletes. You know, who qualifies, who can qualify. You know, what's the government role, and how we're going about picking our national athletes to represent the British Virgin Islands. The reason I ask is because, like I said, we have a lot of national teams playing different sports, and we have people that are traveling as BVI national athletes. You know, my question is, you know, who qualifies for it? How do we go about selecting? And there's a couple of people that we would like to get on teams that aren't able to do so, and what are our plans in order to fix that? I think we may want to address some of that, Paul.
Sure.
Okay, the first one, you know, who can qualify to be a national athlete? What's your take on that?
Well, I mean, initially, and I guess Gareth can help me, I mean, from your perspective as well. I'll give you from my perspective. Who can qualify? Are we talking, well, first of all, from an athlete's perspective, is the athlete who is competing the best, the athlete who is not just running the best but has the best attitude, and is going to have the backing of the country. You know, I mean, one of the things Dean, the sportsman, and I were talking recently. He sent me an email on the Bahamians who are now beginning to image their track and field program off of the Jamaicans. I mean, they've literally made the decision to image it. We've got a caller coming. We'll take that call.
Okay.
Good evening, Sports Desk. Go ahead, please.
Yes, let me speak to Mr. Paul Hewlett, please.
Go right ahead. You're live.
Mr. Hewlett.
Yes, sir.
Yes, this is Kenny Thomas.
Right.
I was in a meeting today, and I'm asking you to have a meeting with you personally, and we're going to discuss sports in the BVI.
Right. Not a problem. Did you have a question or want to make a comment?
No, I just wanted to let Mr. Paul Hewlett know that.
Okay, funny, this dub right here. I want to ask you a question because I know you competed for us as a national. What do you think? What is your take on a national athlete, and who can qualify for a national athlete? What is your take on that? Funny?
Which sports are you speaking about?
Any sport. I mean, you could speak for basketball. I mean, who do you think should qualify for?
I could speak on behalf of basketball.
Okay, go ahead. Who you think should be a national athlete? Somebody who's from here, who's born here, who's played in a league, or import, or whatever. How do you look at it?
No, I look at it as long as you're playing in the basketball league.
Whether you're from here or not?
Whether you're from here or not, and you get qualified, yeah.
Okay, so that's your take on it.
You get chosen, you should be selected. Yeah.
Okay.
Very good. All right, funny. Thanks a lot for that.
All right.
Good man. All right.
Okay.
All right. Because he says once you get selected, then you should be chosen. Like he said it back.
I mean,
Garrett.
let me ask Garrett. I mean, if one wants to want to play international for Wales, how can anybody just walk on a team and be selected as national?
That's a good question. I've got a really good friend who played South African born, but is one of the heroes of Welsh rugby. Rugby's a huge sport in Wales, the national sport, I guess, at the moment. And Hal Luscombe, he played for Wales. He played in a Grand Slam winning team for Wales as well. And yet, when I speak to Hal, he's still got that South African accent, even though he's been living for a long time in South Wales. But I think the qualifying is like 10 years.
Okay, so once you've been in the country and you get a residency and all that kind of stuff like that.
Yeah.
Paul, what's your take on that? You think once somebody is living here for a certain amount of time and competing in national sport, they're able and qualified to be a national athlete?
Yeah, well, one of the things the Americans are really good at is ensuring that the person shows a commitment in some way. So they make you say your allegiance to the flag and everything like that. I think there are two things that we have to ensure that the individual is is here to compete for the Virgin Islands. You know, it was a big problem that the Americans had in the past. The Cubans have had it's mayhem in Cuba, where they go overseas to compete and they don't come back.
Right, the defect.
You know, right? They defect. So we have to be careful with that. There's another caller coming in. We may want to talk about that. Good evening, Sports Desk. Go right ahead, please.
This is Paul.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, I listen to what y'all speaking about national player.
Right.
I personally feel the person should be a citizen of the country that they actually representing.
Okay.
Okay. Any
for-
go on.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, I personally feel something. And some country definitely you have to be,
Right.
and some country actually you have to be born there.
Right.
You know, so I don't know which country you're referring to.
Okay. Let me
Some
add.
country are like that, and I personally feel as a bigger one that I think you should actually be a citizen of the country.
Right.
Okay, so let me ask you, what about an expatriate who's been living here for a long time, get their status, and their children actually, because they get their status, the kids get their status, and they'll be able to compete. Do you think that is fair?
If that is fair, if the children represent or the parents.
Okay, the parents get the status, and and the kids were born here.
Mm-hmm.
Should those kids be able to compete national?
Yes.
Okay, what about kids from parents who are not from here, but the kids were born here?
I still feel so. I feel when the children actually born here. It's something that cannot be taken away from them that are already born here. It can't be reversed.
Okay, are you aware that the situation stands right now where kids who are born here from parents who are not from here are not able to compete national for us?
Well, I suppose go back to a constitution like British Nationality Act law. It's not even a law initiated by us. We don't really have power over the per se. If you say I have to go back to that path, because a lot of people been getting confused with it. It's not a law being done by us, that not come from my own.
But in a situation like that where a population needs to be growing, and like I said, we have a lot of people that's born here from parents that are not from here but can't get status. What is your take on that? Do you think that they should be allowed to get status?
Yeah, I feel it should get started, but still, like I said, you have to go back to the mother country to make a decision. We can't do much about it. Unless you go independent. You see that as a grassroots something they made, and yeah, you ain't got a power, as it's not there.
Okay.
So kind of wasting time there talking about that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for
That's my opinion on that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right.
Now, guys, I'm glad.
you.
I'm glad that you guys are just joining in with us. Like I said, our topic right now is talking about national athletes and who can qualify and who can qualify. But before we come back into it, Paul, I think we're gonna go for take a break on this one.
Thank our sponsors, which
Please.
is Lime, Roton Wholesale, and that boat that gets us right across to Virgin Gorda, Speedies. Can't forget them. Stick and stay. Right back after the word from our sponsor.
Sports Desk is sponsored by Lime, the better, faster 4G network.
The new BlackBerry Z10 is the smarter phone. Get yours at Lime. Value every moment.
Welcome back, guys. Like I said, our topic is getting interesting. We're talking about national athletes and who can qualify and who can qualify. I mean, just behind the scenes, we had a conversation about British Virgin Islander could leave the BVI and compete for Great Britain. But yet, kids who are born from in the BVI, who are from, so to speak, different island parents, can't compete for the BVI, can't even get a passport to compete for the British Virgin Islands. I mean, we're losing a lot of good athletes to the other countries from the parents because of their situation. How do we fix it? Who do we talk to? How do we do it? Give us your views and your opinions on it. And let us know what's going on. Yes, Paul.
Yeah, well, I was saying, as we wait for the call to come in, well, here it comes. Canadian Sports Desk, go right ahead, please.
Yes, good night, Paul. Good night, Paul.
Good night.
Yes, I like the topic of what you all speak about. Now, Paul, let me tell you something. I think one thing that's alive, I think you should be able, you should be able to join a national team. Okay? Mm-hmm. And I think it's so one-sided that what you're saying that if you give them born here, where else them, put on support? And that's what it's still a lot of kids also like they I want to come back here to do things for the home. Get down first and stay with the mate and do things with the mate because they say they're born here and can come here and do things here. It's really tough, man. Really tough for the kids.
But
I won't like a person just come in, Paul and Carl, and they are the national team, play for the national team. I think it should be here for a good while, a long time, before they're on the national team. That's my point. Because when you see the children them who born here to local, they born them in the U.S. Virgin Islands, and you spend money on them here, and when they go out, the U.S. take them. Well, you're supposed to protect the same kids that are born here. Don't care whether the parents them ain't from here. They should protect them.
And that's a good point you make, Joe Jack, because like I said, we lose a lot of our good basketball players for the same reason. We have they're grown and they're raised and grown everything here. We school them, we educate them and everything like that. And when push comes to shove now, they can't make our national teams. St. Thomas is going with them. The U.S. is going with them. I mean, they're ready to take them. But here it is that we have our own, because the parents are not from here. We can't get any status for them. I mean, do you also know? Go ahead.
Really funny stuff because I think the thing, and it's happening all the time because there is the government taking money with these guys who play basketball. Okay? When they get good, they are down the line, play for the national team. They're born down there. They're born in the U.S. Virgin and they're born in America, born Puerto Rico. Okay? You're trying to get them to the college, and when they finish, they're not part of your national team. I think sometimes let me tell you, I'll tell you how I feel. Sometimes some of these people in some of these sports is racist against Caribbean people. That's my thing about it. Who want to give back. But sometimes it's a race behavior in some of these people. You understand? Because, as again, a lot of local kids born in the USA and the U.S. Virgin Islands. And when they get good, they may belong to the PVI. They belong to Uncle Sam. You understand? And I think that too long we fighting and we talking with this thing and you don't see no action. And I can tell you, if I was doing something, they could say as much as they like. They know that the born Tatola, the me born St. Vincent, the me born Trinidad, and the me born St. Kitts, the me born down Antigua and other place. And here is what they got to run for. Don't wait till them big and you're going to say, oh, him is one of us. And that's what's going on today. You understand? But, Carl, I know it's an hour.
Well, we're going to talk about that in a minute. We're coming to that just now.
We get into that. We're getting to that.
Before I leave, I'm going to stand them go down and support these very hot. That's the U.S. boys now hot. Happy. Because them things whether it's a foot hot, a lame foot hot, they support it and they're glad that it has to be very hot. You know, so whether it's less more hot wind or uptown wind, you got to go down there and cheer for them to happy. That's what I really think. Whether they come first or second, whoever, be glad that anyone else win. Now we don't bring it up there. So I want to look up. I'm glad you bring up that topic. I like that kind of topic. Because we always wait till they get big and bring them up when when them getting that trouble sport, we don't know them. And as soon as we do good, he's one of us. And that's what's going on today. It's painful. You understand? I got what I hear all the time.
Okay.
All right, Jaja.
All right.
Okay, good.
Now, Paul, do you realize? And I can speak on as far as track and field because I've been there in the situation already. Like I said, there's a lot of kids that's competing in track and field that was born here, and when we go away to compete, they're competing against us, and then they're beating up on us, and then when we find out, I mean, these kids were born right here. Why are they not competing for us? You know, and they want to compete for us. I know some of the parents said, "Listen, I want my child to compete for the British Virgin Islands, but you guys won't give him a passport." And we get that every time. I mean, how do we fix that? I mean, and here's a situation. Cricket, soccer, those are two main sports that's growing right now. A lot of the folks that are playing cricket and soccer, they're not born here. Some of them don't even have citizenship, but they're representing the British Virgin Islands. Now, how is that possible?
Right. Well, you know, on a point you made, the Americans are quite shrewd, and as you've correctly mentioned, we have two locally born basketballers and now one professional volleyballer who the Americans have snapped up. The thing about the Americans is that they do their homework, and when the American laws are set already, are set in stone, so as soon as they get a chance and they see one of our athletes performing really well at a high level, they don't even blink an eye. Boom, they're gone with them in a flash. So we have to begin to become proactive. We have to become more proactive, and you know.
But yeah, like you said, we should be doing the same thing. I mean, the athletes out there. I mean, I have to give praises to Mr. Ray O'Neill because he's just one of those many people who find the athletes that I mean, they might not be born here, but their parents are from here, so we can give them some kind of national
recognition.
Yeah, recognition or something, and they choose to come home and run for us. But I mean, and these are kids, these are offsprings of people that were born here. Now, the ones that were born here can't get that same privilege. I mean, this is a topic that's been bugging me for a long time because, like I say, I watch. I mean, you didn't speak on it, but I watch. Like we have rugby now, we have rugby, we have soccer, we have cricket, and the national athletes, like I say, they weren't born here, but they represent the British Virgin Islands. They get status to do so. How is it possible for them to get that? And all young athletes who are born here, we can't do the same for them. I mean, I know you may not want to touch it, but I mean, from a governance standpoint, but I'm going to raise the issue. And like I said, guys, if you're out there listening to us and you want to share your views and concern with us, give us a call. The number's on the screen, 541-6709. We're live. In the studio, we have Garrett Davis, and he's probably amazed at some of the stuff that's in here right now. Because like you said, in Wales, somebody from South Africa. I mean, I don't know if you guys are into the buying athletes and stuff like some of the other countries. Is that?
Well, I think it's not so much buying, but certainly it needs a much more tenuous link. Like there's been some jokes like, I can play for Ireland because even though I was born in England, because my grandfather walked past an Irish shop once, and that qualifies me. So that's fine.
But that's in some of the sports, that's how we get kids to play in our league because their grandparents are actually from here, so they have some kind of lineage in somewhere in between there, so they can play in some of our leagues. But the chances are, if they play in our leagues, they weren't born here. They play in our leagues. Some of them may be able to make a national team, or like the caller just said. Once they're pretty good, the Americans take them back.
Yeah,
so
it's crazy. Yeah.
And we spend a lot of money educating, training, send them to school, and once they get good, we lose them. I mean, there has to be something that our government can do or we can do in order to fix this problem because it's been plaguing us. Everybody wonders why our national teams are not doing good. Or we just halfway there. We got athletes out there, that's our own athletes, that's banging up on us. Guys, we need to address this, and we need to address this soon. We talk about the sports, national sports and stuff like that, and sports tourism, and we want to get there. These are things that's hampering us, and these are things that we need to fix in order for us to get to that next level. So, like I say, if you're out there and you want to share your concern with us, please give us a call and give us a text.
Look, we got a call coming in. Good evening, Sports Desk. Go ahead, please.
Call this me again. Yes, so that's
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, call this me again.
Uh-huh.
You know that foot up. You did touch it, Carl?
I know. I had it on my chest for a long time.
Well, I tried to touch it. You ain't see Paul, you are touch it. Paul, this is real. This is reality. We have facing. This is reality we facing.
Right.
You got to stop avoid them things. You understand? This is what pulling down this place. We say we one, but I think it's some of the racist area between our black people and our black Caribbean people, but and I understand some of them will be naturally raised because that's what's going on here. We don't want to have this night for real. You understand?
You got to go easy on Paul now. Remember, he's working for the government, so he can't say much.
I know you, but still a media.
He could voice his opinion.
Listen, Carl. When you raise people respect you, you know.
That's right.
But when you're hiding behind the post, they don't respect you. But it's a good topic that to speak about because I just say I think it's disappointing a lot of kids. Also, the both and the community, both, you know, and here, and I meet children get Carl. This is here, but it grew up down the island, right? Down the Caribbean island. I want to come back here. And you know what they tell me? I don't want to come back here because I born here and they mean up this stuff. And that's what's going on here today. And it's disappointing that I just
I'm glad.
never born here. No, the guys them who play football, they get in a big because you don't have much local. So they that football to be a part of, you know, representing the BVI. But as you said, how can they get to go away to represent the BVI and the China ban board, the ban thing here, we getting point our trouble all the time. You know, sometimes when they reach 18, you get a passport, and when they reach 18, they get trouble in getting a passport. So you don't know where you stand.
But hold on, Judge Jack. I'm glad that you mentioned that because I too I've run into a couple of folks. They were born here, but they grew up in the different islands, and they want to come back home and make here a part of their life and regain. And they have to wait 5 years or more before they can get status or even get a passport, which is ridiculous because they're over 18, and you still telling me that because I'm over 18, I was born here, I still have to wait another 5 years in order for me to get a passport? That's really ridiculous. That is ridiculous. I mean, we need to do something about that.
With Carl, you're not going to hospital because if you talk what they say, hospital over, and this is a topic that I'm glad you could talk about because me going to speak about it.
We can come back to this. We're going to hospitals now. Okay.
Okay, well,
And now we're going to take a break.
Yeah, we'll take a pause for a cause for sponsors. When we get back, we're going to be talking about really uptown, that real horse that really wants to win the Governor's Cup tomorrow. And also we want to talk about that wind that's been blowing across the IPL, Christopher Henry Gale over in India. Stick and stay. We'll be right back after the word from our sponsor.
Sports Desk is sponsored by Lime, the better, faster 4G network.
Test drive a better 4G network. Prepaid customers pay as little as $1 a day with a Lime prepaid data pass. Plus, you can talk XL for $5 and get the next 25 free. And postpaid customers get Lime 4G data from as low as $8 per month. No contracts, no obligations. That's free talk all day and night and the best 4G data prices. Lime has the best 4G value. Visit lime.com for more. Lime, value every moment.
Welcome back, guys. Like I said, the topic was hot this evening. Paul has some information that he wants to go. But before we go into Paul's information that he has for us, I just want to send an invitation out to the minister or ministers who can address some of this situation that we're facing with national athletes and stuff like that. So, Mr. Minister, whichever one you are that's responsible for sports, I know if it's Mr. Walwyn. I mean, if you can lend us some of your time and give us some of the information that we need to know how we can fix this, please, you're welcome to the show anytime. I hope your buddy Paul could get you in here. So, Paul, we're talking about cricket?
Well, actually, we've got a text coming in, so I'll read that. It says, the only BVI British passport holders can represent the British Virgin Islands at soccer in football. That was a text, and we have a call coming in.
Okay, go ahead.
Good evening, Sports Desk. Go right ahead, please.
Hello.
Yes, hi.
Good
Good
evening.
evening.
Hi, good evening.
Yes, go right ahead, please.
I have been looking and listening, and I think there are... Hello?
Yes, go
we
ahead.
can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay, yes. I am listening with keen interest, and I think the whole issue has to be approached from different points of view. One, international federations determine who is eligible to represent a country. Secondly, there are immigration laws that must be respected, and if there is a discrepancy, then the federations or the people with interest should make representation to government, to constitutional reform, to change those issues. But I don't think it's fair for one to blame anybody for what's happening, because if an international federation says one thing to be eligible to represent your country, then that's what you have to live with. On the other hand, if there are issues relative to immigration status, then that status should be dealt with differently. And I'm not sure that trying to pull that information out via this medium is really going to help an athlete or athletes if that is what is intended.
Okay.
Point well taken.
Thank you. Go ahead.
My question is to you. I mean, I know you probably have been on a lot of capacities where you faced with this same situation. How easy or how difficult it is for us to address it and make something out of it for future athletes?
Well, just like anything else, representation must be made to the governor because he's ultimately responsible as a colonial country. We don't make some of the laws, and some of the laws are made by other people, so we have to try and change some of those laws. I think the law of 1972, which determines a lot of what's happening, perhaps needs to be changed. So we need to ask for representation to change these laws, but using the medium and trying to pit one athlete against another, whether he was born here or not, may not be the healthiest thing for all concerned.
So are you saying that the governor has the last say on a situation like this?
No, I'm not saying the governor.
Okay.
But the governor, as the Queen's representative, can enlighten us as to what the immigration procedures are and whether they can be changed. And if they can be changed, what steps we must take. But I think we need to be very careful when we use the medium to determine which athlete should represent the country or not. And my position is very simple. There are federations which determine those conditions. If a federation says you may be a resident of a country for 10 years or 5 years before you can be considered a national, then that's what it is. But if the immigration status says something else, then you have to deal with the situation that takes precedence, and your local immigration statutes will take precedence over what an international federation may say. So I think we have to be really careful that we don't agitate people into believing things as easy as you would like them to think. Because if you could not make the national team in the BVI, for example, because your parent is a national of Angola, you have her rights. And you could have gone and represented Angola. Would that make it right for the Angolan who's been chopping his butts off for years and couldn't make the standards that you do? No, so I think you have to be really careful that you don't establish double standards. You have to look at each situation and analyze that situation for what it's worth.
Okay,
Okay,
point
thank
well
you.
taken. I think
Good.
yeah, go ahead.
Well, no, it was interesting points, and obviously, he's put a lot of the onus on the federations. Important point, because he's saying that what the caller is saying that from one aspect, certainly there is the immigration laws, which again it comes via the governor from Her Majesty, but from another aspect, I think the point that he's making is that each federation has different laws, and so therefore we have sort of made a very broad statement, but I think it has to be isolated to specific federations, because in other words, then, are we talking about the basketball federation here, the boxing federation, the cycling federation here? What federation are we referring to? So I think what he's saying is that we have to be careful and probably be a bit more specific. In other words, then, as a general topic, it's really nice and it sounds good, but what are we really saying? So
but basically what he's saying is what I wanted to really address. I wanted to find out how is it possible, because those were our questions, you know. How can a nationality be selected? What qualifies it for to be a nationality? Those are the questions we're asking. Now, if he's saying that individually the federations are responsible, and then we have to look at the immigration status, and then we have to look at the governor. I mean, we may need to have somebody from the immigration department explain it to us, or even the governor, if he can come and explain it to us, so as to fix the situation, because it really needs addressing, and that's my point.
All right.
But we can move on.
Yeah, let's do that, because I want to talk about a young man by the name of Christopher Henry Gale, who recently broke yet another world record. Oh well, it's his first actual world record, but you know, another spectacular batting performance. Playing for the
Royal Challengers.
Royal Challengers, in fact, yes, I'm trying to pull up my notes here. Beat the Pune, what are they called?
Pune Warriors.
See, Carl even knows. In fact, the amazing thing about this knock is that when the score was 124, Chris Gale was on 95.
Yes.
And it was off of 30 balls. Actually, it was 29 balls. The next ball that he hit was a 6, and he hit his 100. So he was at 101 off of 30 balls, which in itself is a world record. And then he went on to score 175 off 66. In other words, he scored another 75 runs off another 36 balls, and hit 17 sixes in the process. I think.
How many went out of the park?
17. So it was like watching a baseball match. It was
but it's amazing to just see one man just batting the ball just like that. You know? I mean, he's playing by himself.
Even if you didn't like cricket, you would have loved to watch that.
Exactly.
You know,
I mean, we have a clip that's on the screen right now.
Yeah.
If you guys are just tuning in with us.
I mean, unbelievable. 17 sixes, 124 without a loss after 9 overs.
He was playing by himself. He was playing by himself.
Yeah, I mean, the other guys around him.
It was just a batting practice for him.
The other guy, when he was on 100, was on 33. Dilshan. Dilshan was on 33 when Chris Gale was on 101. Remember now, on his 30th ball, Gareth, he hits a 6. To go for his century, he hits a 6. Who hits a 6 to make a century besides Kevin Peterson, ever so often? So, I mean, kudos to Chris Gale. Congratulations. Well done. Proud of you. And, you know, we here in the Virgin Islands, along with everyone else, certainly are in awe with your performance in the IPL. And, you know, the other day he was in poor form. He's back in top form again. That's good to go. But speaking of good form, there is a horse that is in very good form right now. And that horse is going to be going off to, well, it's already in St. Thomas, is racing tomorrow at the Governor's Cup.
Yes.
The question is, will he win the race? But more importantly, who is going to come second? Will Lesmo Smith's Good Prospecting come second? The talk of the town is that Slevin is going to come second. But I heard some real dirty talk, I gotta say, on the street, and the dirty talk is that they're suggesting that people that the Centomians have paid really Uptown's jockey to lose the race. But we know the Centomians would never do a thing like that, right, Carl?
And we know that Miss Hodge would never allow a thing like that.
Oh no! Well, remember it happened.
She's all about winning.
Remember it happened with Expectation on his 20th race. It did. And the owners were very unhappy with the jockey at that time. So I hope this jockey learns from those mistakes. But you know, focus on the race.
But I think something like that. I don't foresee that happening because, like I said, Letty is she's making history.
She is.
Yeah, and again, it would be another historical something for us.
It will certainly be. Well, you know what actually would be historical if you're talking history. If Good Prospecting won the race, it'd be the first horse.
But any way you look at it, it would be history.
History.
Yes.
Yeah, but more so if Lesmore won the race.
Because then this would be his third
It will be his third consecutive
and it
Governor's
will
Cup.
be the first time he's beaten.
It will be the
Uptown.
first time any horse has won it 3 times in a row.
But it will be the first time he's beaten Uptown also.
So
however you look at it,
let's
it's
not
historical.
talk about that because I somehow I struggle to see Good Prospecting beating really Uptown. But listen, anything can happen. They're horses. They have 4 legs.
Guys, we're live. If you want to join in with us, like I said, our numbers on the screen, 541-6709. Let us know what you think. I mean, we had a heated topic before. We're talking horse race now. We can get back to that topic another time. But
Listen, we've had guys.
the races are starting when tomorrow. What time?
Tomorrow around 1 o'clock the races start.
So if you guys want to see the races, this is going to be in St. Thomas. You need to get there before 1.
And if they need a late ticket, we still have late tickets. They can call me on. I can give my number if they want. If you need a ticket late, call me on 547-3146. If you need a late ticket, I have.
Okay. And you guys make sure to take a note of that number.
547. Did I say?
Yeah.
You get it right now. 547-3146. Remember my
And
number.
that ticket gives us what? Access to.
No, the ticket gets you in the race for $12 rather than $15.
Okay, I
You
thought
save
that ticket
$3.
give us a boat ride and everything.
Well, if
But
you're
I don't know if you understand what we're talking about, Garrett.
Do you know, I don't know too much about horse racing, so it's just
Well,
exciting.
we just had some exciting races here in the Caribbean between the U.S. Virgin Islands and the British Virgin Islands.
Okay.
And so far, our horses have been dominating in most of the races. So
couple of quick texts for you, Carl.
yes,
When a child turns 10 years of age, can he apply for a passport for someone from department, or does someone from the department need to shed some light, or they're asking someone, or does someone from the department need to shed some light? So I'll read it again. When a person reaches the age of 10, can he apply for a passport?
even if the parents are not from here, you're saying?
Or, but then there's someone from the department needs to shed some light. Okay, they
Okay,
asked us a
from my
question.
understanding to that, I think once you're living in a country for 10 years or more, and you were born here, I think it is possible. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that, but I think it's something to do with that. But like I said, we need clarification on all of these matters in order for us to go forward. So, Carl, the person that just texted, I'm not sure, but I think it's something to the effect of you have to be living here, or you have to show proof that you're living here for a period of time in order for you to get that.
Yeah, I think they got to show some proof of status, you know. And
Because
for
I think
them,
because a lot of the kids also go to school, and after they reach a certain age.
Well, I think they must be going to school here, Carl. I think they would have
Right.
they'd have to be attending, you know, school here.
And they have to show some kind of proof, even if they leave after
The longer they've
finish school.
attended school here, the better for them.
Yes, I think it's something to that effect.
Yeah.
But again,
Yeah. So, I mean, we're nearly out of time, huh? But
Yes.
there goes the phone. Good evening, Sports Desk. Go right ahead, please.
Yes, I call it again. Call it again. No, call.
yes,
I like what they call
Before.
before.
After.
Yes.
So, he right there, what he's saying, that if the association, any association has this kind of problem, it should strongly take it up further and make some noise about it. Go to who in charge of this situation. You understand?
Right.
You know, so I agree with what he's saying, you know.
All right.
It makes sense to go further and speak about it. Because, as you say, once you go to the governor and them kind of things, so sometimes to find it about these things.
Well,
You know what I mean? But we don't win tomorrow.
Yeah, I think we will. I think you got that one right, Jack.
But,
okay.
All right. Thanks for calling.
okay.
Here's somebody on the street, I think. Yeah. Before we go, I just wanted to let folks know that actually we're hoping to have Mr. Gareth Davies back on the show again. Not on a different show. I think he's going to be coming up and Speak Your Mind, because what his forte is on health and wellness and the foods you should and should not be eating. Isn't that so, Gareth?
Yeah, that's true, and I'm really looking forward to speaking at a couple of different places here in Tortola over the next week or so.
Where are you going to be speaking?
I'm going to be at the high school in town just on Monday,
Okay.
and Rotary Club on Tuesday, and maybe with some women's football teams, soccer teams later on in the week.
Okay.
So that's what's planned at the moment.
You know, that's just shed some light on me because I was just reading a book and I think I got it from my buddy here. What you don't know could be killing you.
Well, sounds
It
like a
speaks-
good title.
It speaks all about food and nutrition and what's good for you and what's not. So I think I may have to show up to some of your meetings to hear it.
Yeah,
Well,
well,
It's good to have you here anyways. We're
Thank
almost
you.
at the end of our show, so.
I wish I'd known what I know now when I was a professional sportsman.
Yes, I agree with you. I think we both do. Paul, we're almost at the end. Wrap up.
Well, I just want to thank Gareth for coming on today.
Yes.
Always a pleasure. We've spent so many years together in the past, so it's like having you back again. So it's certainly a pleasure and a privilege to have you here today. I want to thank all those persons that called in. Certainly had a lot of calls and a lot of interest, and gave some very valid points. And of course, the text. We can't without the text. Certainly, it wouldn't be 100% always. So thank you for the text, for the calls in, for the call-ins. Another congratulations to Chris Gale. And I too want to say the best of luck to Really Uptown, LMB Stables, and also to Lesmore Smith and to Good Prospecting. Should you win tomorrow, that would be an unprecedented third successive win and certainly would go in the history books. So good luck to you as well, Lesmore.
I mean, Paul, I've just wrapped up everything. I just, again, would like to reiterate the call-outs and the text that came in. I mean, it's a touchy topic. I think we're going to get back to it. What I'm planning on doing is trying to find all the information so the next time we talk about it, I'll have a lot more information for you guys. But I think the caller that called in made some good information for the associations or federations in order to find out what they can and what they can't do. I think you guys need to move on that as soon as possible. Like I said, it's been great, Gareth. Glad to have you here again, and I know I'm going to follow you around a little bit before you leave. And once again, guys, this has been another edition of the Sports Desk, and we'll see you next week.
Sports Desk is sponsored by Lime, the better, faster 4G network.